Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel and checking out today's video. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to set the hook correctly with a spinning outfit. Spinning rod hook sets are different than a bait caster. There's a couple different ones that you can use. So I want to give you guys some tips and advice on this, because how you set the hook with any type of rod and reel, it has a huge impact on how many bass you land eventually. Improper hook sets are very common, so we're going to talk about some of the mistakes people make and give you guys some good tips and advice on that in today's episode here. I'm also, guys, on another topic, talking about bait cast reels. You guys maybe heard me talking about this Lews Custom Pro right here. Guys, I've had a couple people, get one of these after I suggested it. Everybody's loving it. If you guys are looking for a really good bait cast reel at a good price, this Custom Pro is absolutely awesome. 11 ball bearings, as smooth as butter. I got mine at Tackle Warehouse like everybody else. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description to the Lews Custom Pro bait cast reel if you guys are looking for a good buy on a bait cast reel right now. And also Tackle Warehouse has got some really good Black Friday sales going on, so I'll have the link in the description on that. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to check out and get one of my Fish the Moment Lake Map breakdowns. If you guys are looking for some good places to go fishing this winter on your favorite lake, this is a great resource for you to do so. I'll put these breakdowns that I've built for fishthemoment.com in the link in the description of this video if you guys would like to check that out, so appreciate that. Okay, now spinning rods are a different deal as far as setting the hook than a bait caster, because bait casters, for the most part, you're using heavier line and you're using a little bit larger lures on average. And a spinning outfit is designed, most people use anywhere between 6 to 10 pound test on a spinning rod most of the time. So how you set the hook is dependent upon, the pound test of line that you're using, obviously. And it also depends on the type of lure that you're using. A treble hook lure or a single hook lure requires a little bit different hook set. So I sort of want to run through you guys, how to set the hook with both treble hook lures and single hook lures. Now, the first thing that you want to remember, and we've talked about this a lot before in some of my other videos, is you don't ever want to set the hook on anything with a slack line. In other words, you don't want to set the hook, work your bait like there, and say you get a strike. You don't want to reel down and let your line get some slack in it and then set the hook on that slack line. Because when you set on that slack line, what it does is it pops that lure a lot more forcefully for a short distance, and you don't get deep penetration. Deep penetration comes with the consistent movement forward, pulling and not letting up on that forward movement. So a lot of times when you get that strike and you reel down, set that hook on a slack line, the hook set like that, the rod eventually has to stop at some point. And that is what I'm talking about, is a lot of times you'll tear a hole in the fish's mouth here on a hard slack hook set line like that. Or a lot of times there's so much force behind it, you'll pop that fish's mouth open if that fish has got a bait completely held in its mouth, and you'll never get a hook in it. So always think in terms of setting the hook on a tight line, regardless of the type of lure that you're using. And we'll run through that a little bit. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about treble hook lures on a spinning outfit. If you're fishing, treble hook lures that I fish on a spinning outfit are all my jerk baits. You guys, 99% of my jerk bait fishing, except for the big 7-inch jerk baits, are on a spinning outfit. This megabass, either the whip snake or the megabass addermine. Spinning rod, we've been through that. This isn't a video for jerk baits, but I do fish all my jerk baits on a spinning rod, and I fish small crankbaits, small little, crankbaits that are sort of 1/4 ounce or a little bit lighter on that. Now, when I'm fishing a jerk bait or a crankbait, let's say, for example, I'm cranking up there. When I'm cranking a spinning rod with a crankbait on it like that, and I get a bite, I don't really do anything other than just start reeling and pulling the rod back a little bit, because those hooks that are on a crankbait and a jerk bait, if I'm using a spinning tackle, are wire hooks or fine diameter hooks. You don't need to set the hook on there. All you have to do is just keep reeling fast and keep the pressure on those hooks in there, and eventually those little small barbs and the needle point hooks will penetrate the fish's mouth. So that's pretty simple. It's like if I'm jerking a jerk bait like that, jerk, 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 and I get a bite, it's the same thing. I just start reeling when I feel a fish on there. Do not want to set the hook. I'm not like, throwing a crankbait like this and all of a sudden it's like boom, one hits it. I'm not like setting the hook like that. It's the worst thing you can do with it. Same thing on a slow bait. Let's say, for example, I'm fishing a wacky rig or a shaky head or a Ned rig or a little finesse jig or something like that. Very similar, but a little bit different. So let's say, for example, we're fishing, a shaky head or a Ned rig. Cast it out there, working it like this, working it, get the bite. Now, the first thing you want to do to make sure that you get a proper hook set is the fish has got to have the bait in its mouth. So the biggest myth in bass fishing, or one of them, is the fact that if you don't set the hook soon enough, the fish is going to spit the lure out. That's not true. If you have any bass over about 1.5 pounds or something like that, you can't hardly get them to drop the bait. They'll swim with that bait for 30 or 40 feet before they either swallow it or drop it. Most of the time they're going to swallow it. So you don't have to get in a big hurry. So throw that out there. You got your shaky head, your Ned rig, you're working it. Boom, I got a strike and I know I got one. Just settle down. Make sure you get your body in position. Let that fish move out probably, 5 or 6 feet with it. Let that line swim out for 5 or 6 feet and then go with it. It's like that, let the fish go out with it. And when the line gets tight and the fish has moved, like again, 3 to 6 feet, just pull back and reel like that. But, the crankbaits, you're just sort of pulling back like that. But on a single hook lure where you actually have to move that bait to penetrate it, you want to use the length of the rod to pull back while you reel. So it sort of looks like this. It's like, okay, I got one on, here he is. And I'm going to go just like that. I'm going to be reeling as I pull back. There's none of this like that. I never go like this. I'm always going just like that. And what that does is, number one, on a light hook bait, we've got a, little wire hook on there. If it is in a soft part of the mouth, it will not tear it. It just keeps, it'll make a little hole, but it won't tear the soft part of the mouth, like the fleshy parts right here. And if you're in a bony part or something, say a harder part of the mouth, on the sides or the bottom or something like that, that constant reeling pressure like that, every time that fish shakes its head side to side, it drives that point a little bit deeper into there where it eventually gets the barb. And that's the only thing that you're concerned about, is you want to be able to get the barb into something, because the barb is what's going to save you from losing that fish, especially if that fish jumps. And the way to most effectively get that barb penetration is by that consistent pressure of reeling and just keeping pressure on the fish. That's the way you want to do it. Overall, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making setting the hook with a spinning outfit is they set the hook too hard. Not only do you risk breaking your line, because if you're using 4, 6, or 8 pound test line, you may or may not know you have some little fray or some like a little burn in your line that really weakens it. You don't have that much room to play with. If you're using 20 pound test line and you have a little rough spot on your line that you frayed on a rock, you might be able to get away with setting the hook with some force and still not break the line because the diameter's larger. But if you're using 6 or 8 pound test line and you get a little fray in the line, you don't have that luxury. So that's another advantage to it. It's like if you do have some type of a fray, by pulling and reeling into the fish, even though your line's frayed, your risk of breaking that line is a lot lower than if you actually set that hook to put a snap on that line. But mainly, don't feel like you have to set the hook hard. Just, there's a difference between setting the hook hard and not setting the hook very hard, but getting better penetration. The better penetration does not come from a hard hook set. It comes from pressure on the fish consistently. That's the difference. And that's the mistake a lot of people don't understand in setting the hook. So stop setting the hook hard, keep the pressure on the fish, pull back on it, do it on a tight line, and you're going to notice a huge increase in how many fish you land. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you guys out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk later.